Hi, my name is Chris Ryan and thank you for joining me here at the Forest of Arden. This is a brand new video series covering putting. It's going to be 4 parts and we're going to take you through from the setup right there through to the stroke. We're going to be covering every single aspect of putting, but we're going to split it into 4 skill categories. We're going to be looking at strike. Where do you contact the ball on the putter face? Number 2 is we're going to be looking at start line. Can you start the ball on the line that you choose? Video 3 is going to be focusing very much on the pace. Can you roll the ball the correct distance? And then we're going to finish up with video 4 looking at green reading. Can you actually pick the correct line to start your ball on? If we can put all those skills together, I really believe we're going to help you become a better putter, and becoming a better putter is a fantastic way to help you lower your scores out on the golf course. Right, let's get started with video 1, looking at the setup and your strike point on the putter face. So welcome to a brand new video series which is going to help you become a better putter. It's a fantastic way to lower your scores, is to work on your putting and turn those rounds when you maybe have 36, 37, 38 putts into something around about 32, 33 putts. If we can start to get you under 30 putts, then you're really starting to become quite efficient on the greens. And that's really kind of the long-term goal, is to be able to, consistently average around about 30 and have your good rounds just under. That's what we tend to see from the best players. And certainly when we see these golfers winning on the world tours, they're often having under 30 putts each round. So what are we going to do in this video series? Well, we're going to really split this series into kind of 4 key skills, which I believe every good putter has mastered, and we're going to try and get you to do the same. So what are those 4 skills? Well, the first skill would be the ability to hit the ball at the middle of the club face. So we're going to call that strike. So can you strike the ball from the center of the golf club? There's our first skill. Our second skill is, can we start the golf ball on a line that I choose? So if I chose to start the ball right edge of this hole, have I got the ability to actually start the ball on that line? The third skill we're going to cover is my ability to control the distance that the ball rolls. So, if I'm trying to hit the ball 20 feet, can I hit it 20 feet? If I'm trying to hit it 30 feet, can I hit it 30 feet? So pace control. And then we're going to finish up in video 4 looking at actually reading the greens, because having those skills, being able to start it on the right line, having the right pace is all well and good, but if I'm unable to pick up the slopes and the undulations on the greens, those skills almost become a little bit redundant. So those are the 4 skills. Now within each of those videos we're going to be doing some exercises, some drills, we're going to be looking at technique which are going to be related to those skills. So this first video, we're looking at we're looking at strike, I should say, and we're going to cover starting position, so how we set ourselves up to the golf ball and how we place our hands on the golf club. And then we're going to finish up with some exercises and some drills that you can do to monitor and improve your strike. So let's first of all talk about the putter and then how we stand to that and how we place our hands on the golf club. The putter is very, very upright compared to the other golf clubs in your bag. What we mean by that is the angle formed between the bottom of the putter and the club shaft is very, very different. What that means is that when I ground the putter and I have it flush to the ground, the handle dictates that I'm going to be standing pretty close to this golf ball. I certainly wouldn't want to be standing away like I would do for a 7-iron, because you can see what that does to the putter. It changes its playing angle. So when I sole the putter out, the handle is much more in line with the putter. The club shaft gets closer to vertical. That dictates very much how I set up, but it also dictates how I place my hands on the golf club. So let's quickly go through how I would place my hands on the golf club. I would like my lead hand to be placed in a position where the fingers point roughly down towards the ground. So you can see that there. Once I have my hand in this position, I want to close it around, and the putter is running very much through the lifeline of my hand. Conversely, if we look at how I would hold this putter if I thought it was a 7-iron, the golf club would go very much through the fingers of my hand. It would sit underneath the pad, and what that would do is it would tend to cause the handle to sit lower at address, which raises the toe up off the ground. So how we position the club in our hand is really, really important. You can see as I go from the fingers to the lifeline, this changes how I would sole the putter, and it changes therefore how how far I would stand away from the golf ball. So we need to make sure the putter is through the lifeline of the lead hand. Now I tend to put with my index finger down the outside, but it doesn't have to be. but we just need this hand to be in this position where the fingers are pointing down towards the ground. I would then like to approach the grip with my trail hand, and again I want it fairly similar. I don't want those fingers pointing towards me too much. I want them a little bit more down towards the ground. So if I didn't have a putter, this would feel very much palms together, fingers pointing down towards the ground. That would be pretty much the most natural way that we could simulate a putting stroke without a putter. So we want to get as close to that as we can when we place the hands on the golf club. So you can see how my left hand can just go on, my right hand can just go on. That would be my putting grip. Now, once I have a golfer with the palms facing and we have the putters kind of sold out, the orientation of their hands, whether it lead hand low or lead hand high or whatever it may be, is almost going to be a little bit of personal preference. So there's a lot of freedom within the putting style once we get the things that we want correct. So the things that we want correct is obviously what we've covered. So you almost need to experiment once you've got the hands in this position with actually where they go on the handle. So you know, you look at someone like a Brooks Koepka, recent US Open winner, he tends to place his index finger down the outside. Many golfers place it around the putter. It doesn't really matter as long as it feels comfortable and it allows us to control the putter in that certain way. So let's go ahead and hit a putt here. There's a lot of right to left on this one. So I'm going to go ground the putter, lead hand goes on, trail hand goes on, and I need to give this quite a bit of break up on the right. Okay, just missed on the low side, so even though I knew there was a lot of break on there, still managed to underread it a little bit. So now let's go through the starting position, how we set up to the putter. So let's talk ball position first. I would like the golf ball to be positioned slightly forward in the stance. And when I say slightly forward, I mean slightly forward. So almost the blade of the putter or the putting surface would be opposite the middle of your heels, which would then see the ball slightly further forward. We'd like to hit the ball with the putter slightly ascending, so working away from the ground. The middle of your sternum and the middle of your heels is going to see the putter pretty much reach the bottom of its arc. We therefore need to have that ball slightly forward of that to increase the chances of hitting it on the upswing. So you can see here I've got that ball slightly forward in my stance. Now, how wide or how narrow I have my stance, again, is going to be a little bit of personal preference. We're not really looking to use the lower body in these putting strokes, so how we position it isn't going to be as important. What I would say is that for many golfers that I see, if you are that golfer who's got a little bit of movement in your lower body, having a slightly wider stance can give you a little bit more stability. So I would tend to err on the wider side, but only because it's going to give you a little bit more stability in the legs. Now, we've already talked about how we sole the putter and how we place our hands on. So we then have to think about our posture that relates to that. Notice how I'm not concerned with keeping my back particularly straight. I don't need this position when I'm hitting a putt. Some golfers are going to start there, absolutely. But some golfers actually feel a lot more comfortable with their back allowed to be a little bit more rounded this way. We also want to make sure that we're looking at the golf ball. Sounds obvious, I know, but when I say looking at the golf ball, I mean directly at the ball. So we wouldn't want to feel like we're putting like this, where I have my head raised up and I have to feel like I'm looking right down my cheekbones to see the golf ball. I want to feel like I allow the head to drop, so I'm looking directly at the golf ball. It's going to help me visualize the putt. It's going to help me see the green better and the line better. You know, too many golfers I will see with a head position which almost relates too much to a 7-iron or a driver swing. So allow that head to fall down, looking directly at the golf ball. I've also got some good amounts of flex in my arms. We don't want to be too rigid with the arms because that tends to create these shoulders coming in. So we want to feel a nice bit of flex in the arms. And a great way for you to feel this would be to put your palms to face you and then use your whole arms to rotate your palms away from you. And you'll see how that puts a little bit of flex in the arms and it causes my elbows to sit quite nice and close to me. For me to place my hands on the club, I then want to rotate my forearms rather than my elbows. Again, we don't want to see the elbows too much out like this because that can affect the stroke. We want to feel the elbows are nicely tucked in. So working towards palms away, rotate the forearms to have the hands back on, and then I can get myself into this nice comfortable position. As I've got the ball slightly forward, I also want the grip marginally forward of the club head as well. I want a little bit of forward lean in this golf club at setup. Typical putters are going to have around about 4 degrees of loft. We need to make sure we've got a little bit less than that as we make contact with the golf ball. That's for the majority of players on an average green speed. It might change if you're playing excessively fast or excessively slow greens, but for the majority of you, that's pretty much what we need. So you would like a little bit of forward lean of the golf club, nice width of stance. There's my setup. So let's go ahead and hit another putt to here. Let's give it a little bit more break and see if I can hold this one. And still missed it on the low side. So now we're going to come on to our first skill, which is strike. So strike, we're talking about two ways, heel to toe and top to bottom. It would make sense that we're trying to strike the ball out the middle of the putter. That's going to give us the best roll. It's going to give us the most chance of achieving the correct distance. If I miss the centre, let's say I strike towards the toe, there's a couple of things that are most likely to happen. One, the putter is going to twist, which means the ball is going to start probably to the right of where I intended. And two, it's going to come off the putter with less speed than I intended. So if everything else is correct, that ball's probably going to finish short right of the hole. So very difficult to hole putts if you're consistently misstriking the putter. Now, the putter I've got here, this TaylorMade Spider Tour, is actually back weighted, which means that if I do miss the centre towards the toe, I'm actually going to get a pretty similar ball speed and I'm going to get minimal twisting. So I'm quite lucky here that this putter allows me to be a little bit away from the centre and my result isn't going to be too bad, but we still want to really try and hone in on that centre. So you'll notice there's a little device on the floor. This is going to help me monitor my strike and ultimately improve my strike. It's by Fat Plate and it's called the Putt Plate. A lot of plates in there. So it's effectively a Perspex device which sits on the ground. It's like a template. And I get these plastic pegs that come with the device and I can place them just outside of my putter. So the ball will sit in this little hole here and the putter sits behind the ball. Now, those two little pegs are there to create a gate for my putter. So if I deliver the putter and I hit more towards the toe, then I will hit this inside peg. If I hit more towards the heel, I will hit the outside peg. So if I stray a little bit from the centre towards the toe or the heel, I'm going to get some feedback by making contact with those pegs. The Perspex also runs across here between the putter and my ball, which means that if I have my putter too close to the ground at contact, it's going to again hit that template because I do want my putter to be slightly raised off the ground as it's continuing through this gate. So let's set a golf ball in there and let me just hit a paw putt. So one where I would hit excessively towards, let's do it towards the heel. So I'm going to hit this one excessively towards the heel. Okay, and you can see the ball hasn't reached the hole and the peg on the outside of my ball has gone forwards. So there's my feedback. It was a heel strike and on the course it'd be quite easy for me to hit that putt and think, I underhit that and hit the next one a little bit harder. But the reason that was short was because it hit the heel. So if on the next putt I hit it harder and I hit the middle, it's going to go too far. And we start to get this almost this vicious circle of reacting too much to the putts when it might well have been strike related. So let's go ahead now and see if I can actually do a putt as I would like. So the goal here is to try and get my putter to move through that gate without making contact with the device or those pegs. Okay, slightly overread that, so I've obviously got this device a little bit too much outside the hole, but I managed to get my putter through that gate without any interference. Now, the good thing with putting is a lot of the things that we look at, such as strike here, just practicing with a station setup like I have will improve that element to your technique. So if I'm the golfer who consistently hits from the heel of the putter so my toe hits the outside peg, this device is going to give me that feedback. Now, I'm probably not going to continue to do that. The device is a constraint, so it's going to help me focus in on what I'm trying to do. So the beauty of a little practice station like this is that you could well be striking the heel of the putter. You create a practice station like this, you practice, 3 or 4 weeks time, you're now hitting the middle of the putter. And if someone said to you, what did you do different to move from the heel to the centre? You're going to say, I don't really know. But the way that you set up your practice station helps you zone in and focus in on what we needed to do. And it gives you that feedback every time you hit the wrong part of the putter. So it's a great way to practice because you're not going to have loads of technical thoughts. You're just standing there and you're just trying to move your putter through this gate. Oh, not very well there. You're trying to move your putter through this gate and trying to miss those pegs. The beauty of this little device is these pegs mean that you can use this device indoors, outdoors, you can use it wherever you are. It's pretty light, so you can carry it. I will actually put a link up here. You can go to the website and check out these devices. Fantastic for, I say, putting green work and also work at home. So the first thing we've looked at in this video is strike. Setting up a practice session, practice station to help you focus on your strike is the number one thing that's going to help you perform better on the greens. Make sure you check back for videos 2, 3 and 4 because we're going to be looking at start line, we're going to be looking at pace control, and we're going to be looking at a little bit of green reading as well. Thank you very much for watching. Usual stuff as always is below. There's a comments box down there, there's a like button and my logo over here. Clicking that will allow you to be a free subscriber of the channel. Would love to have you along for the journey. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully see you back for videos 2. Thanks again for watching and see you soon.